Hi everyone, it's Kim Bopney, the Vagina Coach, and in this video we are going to talk about the backs of the legs, the hamstrings, and how releasing tension and lengthening and stretching your hamstrings can actually help improve your pelvic floor function. I've just come back from my daily walk, and one thing that is kind of chronically tight on me is the backs of my legs, which is very true for many people. So daily calf lengthening and daily hamstring lengthening is something that I recommend and something that I try to do on my own. So I'm going to go through my favorite hamstring lengthening exercises. The reason that they help is because the hamstring muscles attach up into our pelvis, and when they are tight, they can actually pull the pelvis posteriorly, and that can negatively influence the relationship between the pelvic floor and the diaphragm. It can also contribute to tension in the back part of the pelvic floor. So when we can lengthen the hamstrings and have better, it can contribute to better pelvic position, which can then allow the pelvic floor muscles to better do their jobs. So we're going to start sitting on the ball. Actually, this doesn't have to be a ball. It could be the edge of a chair. It could be anything, but you're going to sit on something. The reason I do like the ball though is, I'll show you in a minute, because we have a bit of movement with it. But so I'm sitting a little bit, I'm not sitting right up into the kind of the top part of the ball. I'm sort of rolling a little bit forward. So I would sit at the edge of your chair if you happen to be on a chair. I'm going to put a leg out in front, the heels down, the toes pointing up towards the ceiling. I am sitting on my sit bones, so you want to make sure that you're not in that posterior tilt that we were talking about. So you want to lengthen, and that's why I like the ball. We can kind of use our bum to kind of roll the ball away. And that in and of itself just lengthens the hamstring on its own, again, because of the attachment points up into the pelvis. But now I'm going to hinge forward from the hip. So you want to make sure that you're not collapsing the upper body, you're just hinging forward. So imagine you had a rod down your spine and you couldn't bend, and then you hold it there, and then you can just, again, imagine, like, use your bum almost to sort of push the ball behind you, and it helps heighten the lengthening that you feel along the backside. And then you just hang out here and you hold it. I try to hold a stretch for at least 30 seconds. Sometimes I'll hold them even longer than that. It kind of depends on the position that I'm in, but I will, for the purposes of this video and not bore you to death, I will keep it fairly short, but you can hold this for longer than what we'll be doing here. Okay, so then I'm going to gently come out of that, and now I'm going to switch over and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So it's heel down, toe up, sitting up nice and tall, sort of lengthening up through the crown of the head, hinging forward from the hip, and then you can imagine sort of sending that bum backwards on the ball. I've spent, well, 2 weekends ago at our cabin, and while we are quite active there is also a lot of sitting and enjoying the view. And then the weekend after that was a soccer tournament, so sitting and watching soccer games. I would stand up and exercise and do my walks, but just more sitting, especially because we had to travel in cars, so 3-hour car trip. So I'm feeling a little bit tighter today than normal. Okay, and then I'm gonna come back up. So I'm just going to show you a quick little side view of that as well. So sitting on the ball, a little bit further forward, extend that leg out in front, grow tall through the crown of the head, hinge forward from the hips, and then imagine sort of lengthening backwards on that ball to really heighten the sensation in the back of the leg. So that's just a different view for you. Okay, so another one that I like to do is, again, you can use a chair. Actually, I would probably prefer a chair, but I don't have one here, so I'm going to use the ball. I'm going to just use this to hold the ball in one place so it doesn't roll around. I'm going to stand in front. I think it's going to stay still. I'm going to stand in front of the ball, feet are pelvis width apart. And now I'm going to hinge again at the hips, sending my bum backwards. And I'm going to put my hands, keep my arms straight. I'm going to put my hands on top of the ball or the chair or whatever it is that you have. Maybe it's a little bit higher. Maybe it's like a bench, or maybe you have a stack of yoga blocks on top of your chair, whatever it is. And I want to really focus on keeping the gentle curve in my back So you can imagine your sacrum floating up. You can imagine your sit bones, those two bones where the hamstrings attach into, lengthening up to the sky. And then I'm also going to check in with my knees, and I want to make sure that I'm letting my kneecaps drop and I'm not hiking them up. And then I'm just going to hang out here, and I can keep my neck in neutral, or I can let it hang. But the most important part here is that we keep the pelvis in neutral. So again, that gentle curve in the low back, this is not really doing a whole heck of a lot. So getting into that blossom your butt cheek position, and really imagine almost exaggerating the lifting of the sacrum and the sit bones can help with that lengthening or stretching sensation. And because we are in a neutral pelvis position, lengthening the hamstrings, it will help encourage our capacity for a neutral pelvis position when we are not purposely stretching them. And you want to make sure also when you're stretching that you're not holding your breath, that you continue to breathe. Get a little bit in the back of my neck now. And then I will slowly come up. And now for the last one, I'm going to push my ball off to the side. Actually, I'll pin it back here. The next one is with the strap. So I'm going to come down onto the mat. Rolling onto my back, and you want to have enough room for your legs to be out straight. And I will use my left leg first. So I want you to notice that the back of my right leg is on the ground, and it will stay there. And I'm going to check in with my pelvis position. I want to make sure that my back is not pressed into the mat, which is again the position that I might be in if my hamstrings are tight. Could also be that I'm clenching my glutes. That's also contributing to this position. So let your butt cheeks soften and try to get that pubic joint in the same plane as the hip bones. So I will have a gentle curve in my low back. It's not pressed in and it's not overarched. Now I'm going to take my strap and I'll wrap it around my foot. Now I do have my shoes on today. Usually I actually do this stuff without my shoes on, but because I just came in the door and wanted to get this done, I didn't take my shoes off yet. So the back of my right leg is on the ground. And now I'm going to extend this leg down, straighten it out, and I'm only going to lift the leg up as high as it can go without my pelvis tilting backwards and that leg popping off the floor. So slowly, 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 starting to feel sensation here, getting a bit stronger. So I've kind of reached my max point there. So I'm going to hold on here. And I have my toes pulled towards me, which will also heighten the lengthening sensation on the back of the calf and up to the hamstring. And if you start to feel like the sensation eases a little bit, then you can pull in a little bit more. But again, we only go as far as we can without that pelvis tipping backwards and without the back of the extended leg coming off the ground. Okay, now I'm going to switch and do the same thing on the other side. So the left leg stays on the ground now, hooking the strap around the bottom of my right foot. Extend the leg down, getting in neutral pelvis position, and then slowly lifting the leg up to the point where you find your edge. I'm just going to switch my hand position in the strap here. And just hang out. Now, in an ideal world, the optimal position is supposed to be with your leg completely straight up. That would be, you know, great hamstring length. I think maybe one day I might get there. But wherever you are is wherever you are. And no judgment, just make note of it and see how you improve when you continue to do this over time. All right, so I would hold this a little bit longer, but again, for the purposes of the video, I want to get you on your way so you can go and actually do this on your own. Letting that leg come on down. And there you go, a few of my favorite hamstring stretches to help with optimal pelvic position, which can help improve function of your pelvic floor. We'll see you next time.